a biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
As a society, we don't often spare much of a thought for those who hear the knock of the judge's gavel and are sent off to the big house, to prison. Largely speaking, these Australian brothers and sisters of ours are locked up, out of sight and out of mind. So thank God for prison chaplains, one of the few groups who see the treasure of humanity in those locked up behind bars. Graham Hembrow is here today from Chaplaincy to share with us about recent developments in prison chaplaincy, the new prisons being built in Australia, one in particular that he has connection to. He runs programs in prison like Prison Alpha and works with Inside Out Prison Chaplaincy. Welcome to 2020, Graham Hembrow.
Thanks, Tosh. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you with us, mate. And the care that you offer for those of us who often do get forgotten about, just as a part of the body of Christ, just want to say thank you because you guys are doing a hero's work.
It's my pleasure. I'm sure I speak on behalf of all chaplains that it's a privilege to be able to take the gospel into our prisons.
So tell us, Graham, how did you first get involved with prison ministry?
Yeah, prison is very close to my heart. I had a family member go to prison in early 2000s, and it was through visiting them on a weekend that a pastor shared his testimony with me in a waiting room, and the rest, as they say, is history. I went along to church for the first time on Anzac Day 2004 and made a decision for Christ that morning and was baptised on Mother's Day, May 9th, that same year. And a year later, I found myself doing chaplaincy in Arthur Gorrie Correctional Centre.
And so when you first got started there at Arthur Gorrie Correctional Centre, what was the chaplaincy work like for you to walk into?
It was confronting. The saying, there but for the grace of God go I, became real. I'd lived a life that probably should have lent to me going to prison. And here I was confronted by probably about 900 men at the time housed in that centre. And I was really confronted by this is where I could have ended up had I have not made a certain choice.
And so for those who are in prison, how would you describe the average inmate?
Just like you and I, like members of the public. Walk down the street, take a look around, and you'll see them. You've got people that are homeless, doing it very tough, low socioeconomic, but you've got people that are doctors, politicians, police, professionals as well. So the full gamut of people are found behind bars, and that is something that's quite confronting.
Yeah, so it's people who, for one circumstance or another, have found themselves in a pressing situation and the law's caught up to them and said, no more.
Yep, we all make mistakes, and all of our mistakes have consequences. Some of them lead to us being in prison.
With the work that you're now doing in the prisons, what are some of the programs or the works that you're doing there that you're seeing fruit with right now with the chaplaincy work?
Yeah, look, chaplains are primarily there to provide pastoral care and, in our case, spiritual support to Christian prisoners, and we do Sunday services. And chaplaincy's been operating in this form or model for the last 40 years here in Queensland. And we're there to draw alongside of people. I often say people don't care what you know until they know that you care. So it's drawing alongside, building a rapport, building trust, and then allowing people to get to know you. And, once they get to know you, they open up about the things that, are deep, dark and hurting, the traumas that they've suffered. And it's through that we can start to work with them in a restorative way, first of all, just through relation, but then also through introducing them to a faith in Jesus Christ and through Bible, through the Christian community, through Bible studies, then people start to find their healing in that.
You were saying that you run Bible studies and you're introducing people to faith. What's the condition of like Christian faith in prisons?
Sure. For the most part, it's chaplains are well received. We're one of the only people, if not the only people, that are fully voluntary going into a prison that have no other motive but to go in and care for those behind bars. So first and foremost, we're well received. People will talk to us very openly, and then with that comes the rapport, and as I say, the ability to be able to share our faith. There are quite a number, I would say, in somewhere around about 10% would be doing Bible studies, correspondence Bible studies through Emmaus Correspondence School based up in Toowoomba. Bryson Thomas, who oversees that, does a marvellous job here and in other states. And they also provide calendars to every prisoner in the state at Christmas time. And those calendars have scriptures and Bible verses for every single day and are a real great source of encouragement and help for those prisoners to get through their time behind bars. But church services are well attended for the most part. It is getting difficult to get across to all of the prisoners because of the overcrowding in our prisons at the moment. But church services are well attended, and the engagement with chaplains continues to be something more and more as things get tougher on the outside, as people are locked away for longer, cut off from their families. Chaplains become that person that they can lean on, that they can talk to, and
the as you were saying there, the overcrowding that's happening in our prisons. Can you just open the door a little bit for our Vision family around Australia, Christian people from all walks of life across our land, but maybe many haven't really heard about what's going on in the prisons at the moment?
Yeah, so our prisons are at a state where they're quite overcrowded, and the impact that has is that cells that were traditionally built for single occupancy now have bunks in, so two to a cell. And as a result, you're sharing a cell sometimes for up to 18, 20 hours a day with another person. And a cell's probably the size of a mid-sized bathroom. And that then has impacts on people's mental health and, their well-being. And that's quite challenging. That plays out in different ways. People tend to harm themselves or can harm others as well. And so chaplains are a great source to come along and for them to be able to sit down and confide in, talk to, let the pressure off, a bit of a pressure valve for a circuit breaker, as one general manager once said.
Yeah, and so with this overcrowding that's happening in the prison system, are there any particular drivers that are causing that at the moment, or is it just the infrastructure hasn't kept up with the population growth?
Generally speaking, that's the case. Prisons are large projects, expensive projects, and they take quite a bit of time to come online. The new prison out at Gatton, which we referred to earlier, Lockie Valley Correctional Centre, the media reports say that they've spent about $1 billion bringing that to this point. It's taken probably around about 4 years or so in construction, and it will house 1,536 prisoners when full. And that will take some pressure off the other prisons, but we unfortunately probably need more beds.
So this is one prison west of Brisbane, $1 billion, so $1,000 million.
Correct. Yes.
And how many does it house?
1,536.
1,536.
Yep.
That's like close to $1 million a bed.
It's an expensive way to house prisoners. Yes. Many of whom have conditions and issues that could be probably better treated in other ways, and but part of that is changing the perception of the community that locking people up for all crimes is the answer, because very often it's not. People with mental health issues, people with drug, alcohol, and other substance abuse issues, prison isn't always the right place for them. Certainly not for a treatment point of view.
Graham, thanks so much for these thoughts. We are going to have to wrap up because time's going to get the best of us. But For the body of Christ out there across Australia who are listening in now as part of our Vision family, what would be one main thought that you could share with us about, there's someone in church that you know that's been to prison or someone that's going, what would be a piece of advice that you could give to the body of Christ on how to care for, how to love, how to accept, how to reach out to someone in that position?
Yeah, sure. Many of us have been victims of crime, and it can be quite challenging, quite confronting when we know someone who is an offender walks into our church. But if we treat them like we would treat any other person in church, no different whatsoever, don't make a special case out of them, don't try and be apprehensive. Remember, we all sin and fall short of the glory of God. And with that in the back of our minds, we should approach people coming out of prison in the same way. In many cases, we talked about it before, they can be big guys like myself, but inside they're really quite tame young boys, sometimes stuck with traumas and things like that. And what you see on the outside is just bravado, or it's just a front, it's just a mask. And when you come up and introduce yourself, put your hand out, hi, haven't seen you before, would you like a coffee, this is your first time here, that really speaks volumes, because they walk into a church and they automatically think everyone knows that they're a criminal. And when we're standoffish, when we step back from them, that reinforces that. But when we move forward, when we put that hand out, when we embrace them as a Christian brother or sister, it changes everything in their lives.
And if you want to follow what Graham is doing, the great work that they're doing there, you can go to corinity.org.au. Graham Hembrow, thanks for the amazing work that you guys are doing.
Thank you, Tosh.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.